We've had in our area here outside agitation groups of all levels. We've had Martin Luther King. We have had people of the Nazi Party, the States' Rights Party. Both of these groups have come in. They have continually harassed and agitated us for approximately 3 or 4 weeks. They are trying to split up our community and make gains and things of this sort and get force against force. I think we have stood up under this remarkably well. I'd like to say to the people, I am a segregationist. I do not believe in biracial committees.
Give us the ballot. We're ready now to march on ballot boxes. Yeah. Until every situation that keeps us down at the bottom of the economic ladder is changed, we are ready to march on ballot boxes. Yeah.
What up, y'all? Bam TV. Truth by any means. So I'm just going to set the environment. We're in the 60s with it. We as a people have been struggling to integrate within a obviously segregated environment, at least in the South. And both my man's King and, you know, the King, Malcolm X, was trying to get that fixed. This was supposed to be the man to help do that. Check.
100 years of delay have passed since President Lincoln freed the slaves, yet their heirs, their grandsons, are not fully free. They are not yet freed from the bonds of injustice. They are not yet freed from social and economic oppression. And this nation, for all its hopes and all its boasts, will not be fully free until all its citizens are free.
Tonight, Front Page Challenge welcomes the outspoken Negro leader, Malcolm X.
Sir, what's the real reason why you two men split? Is it merely ideological, or is it personality? What else?
Probably personality. It was not the statement that originally was given by the movement when we split. It's more personality than anything else.
You've called people like Martin Luther King, who just got a Nobel Peace Prize, an Uncle Tom. Is this correct, first?
Well, I'd rather say that in the States, there's a law that has recently been passed, or a decision handed down by the court, wherein if you call someone an Uncle Tom, they can sue you for libel.
Well,
so I never refer to them as Uncle Toms. I would say that Uncle Martin is my friend.
Uncle Martin is your friend, yet you would disagree with his approach to what he wants to accomplish.
Definitely. If his approach would bring about what the black man in America needs to completely eliminate the problem that we have, I would say well and good. But I very much doubt that anyone who adopts the approach that Martin Luther King has been teaching to our people in that country can point to any meaningful gains that has actually served to solve the problem.
Black Muslims have sometimes, whether you have or not, and I think probably you have sometimes, it seemed to me, been preaching hate to meet hate.
I don't advocate any kind of hate.
But there's a lot of talk that sounds very much like it.
No, I think that the guilt complex of the American white man is so profound until when you begin to analyze the real condition of the black man in America, instead of the American white man eliminating the causes that create that condition, he tries to cover it up by accusing his accusers of teaching hate. But actually, they're just exposing him for being responsible for what exists.
We are confronted primarily with a moral issue. It is as old as the Scriptures and is as clear as the American Constitution. The heart of the question is whether all Americans are to be afforded equal rights and equal opportunities, whether we are going to treat our fellow Americans as we want to be treated. If an American, because his skin is dark, cannot eat lunch in a restaurant open to the public, if he cannot send his children to the best public school available, if he cannot vote for the public officials who represent him, if, in short, he cannot enjoy the full and free life which all of us want, then who among us would be content?
John F. Kennedy, the man who promised all the American so-called Negroes who vote what he was going to do for them when he got in office, and has yet to do the first thing that he promised, but has paid off the Negro leadership so that they are silent and say nothing about the promises that he originally made to get Negroes to vote for him.
Threaten our children and we will still love you. Come into our homes at the midnight hours of life and take us out on some desolate highway and beat us and leave us there, and we will still love you. Run all around the country and sing your literature and say that we aren't worthy of integration, that we are too immoral, that we are too low, that we are too degraded, yet we will still love you. From our homes and go by our churches early in the morning and burn them, if you please, and we will still love you.
Again, this is all for the Civil Rights Act of 64, you know, pretty much labor law that outlaws discriminating against race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. But I'll say this with King, man, like, you know, 80s babies, we not really going for the beatings and all of that, bro. Like we really trying to blow something down, you know what I'm saying, in defense of our kids, our family, whatever. So I don't know if that spill would have worked with us, G.
And I should say that when we express our desire not to mix with whites, they call us a hate group. And Martin Luther King is running around here telling Negroes to love all kind of white people, and they sick dogs on Martin Luther King. So it answers itself, and it shows the hypocrisy of the white man.
We have not. Dolores, we have not. The unfortunate thing is that while we are 100 years beyond the Civil War, the basic frame of reference, the basic value system of American culture says positively, unequivocally, if you're black, get back. If you're white, you're right. If you're brown, stick around.
Senator Goldwater, we have another question here from some of our listeners. You voted against the Civil Rights Act in 1964. Would you do so today, and what is your position now on the proposed Voting Rights Act?
Well, to answer the first part of your question, if the same two items remained in the bill that caused me to think it unconstitutional at that time remained in any bill today, I would have to vote against it. This isn't something, by the way, that you make a determination on from the standpoint of politics.
Now, I need y'all to understand the temperature at this point in time, you know what I'm saying, because this was an election year for Kennedy, and at the time, LBJ, which was his vice president, I'm talking about Lyndon Johnson, and this was definitely a swing year. They was going to almost get put out of the office. He was going for a second term, and this was the act that was going to garner the African-American vote to push his party over the top, which was Democratic. But, you know, hey, y'all check this out.
Get ready to march on ballot boxes. You will march on in the spirit of nonviolence, determined to get to ballot. You will even look over to your brothers in Mississippi. See a closed society gradually becoming an open society. If you will march on with your brothers in Alabama, you will look around and see that glad day when all of God's children will be able to cry out, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty. We are free at last.
Next week, I shall ask the Congress of the United States to act, to make a commitment it is not fully made in this century to the proposition that race has no place in American life or law. The federal judiciary has upheld that proposition in a series of forthright cases. The executive branch has adopted that proposition in the conduct of its affairs, including the employment of federal personnel, the use of federal facilities, and the sale of federally financed housing. But there are other necessary measures which only the Congress can provide, and they must be provided at this session.
You never can give a man anything that when you took away everything. Anything you give him is just a morsel in comparison to what he deserves. When you take a man and you take his language, you take his home, you take his wife, you take his children. Well, my God, what do you want from him?
instill within our people the incentive to stand on our own feet, and instead of trying to force ourselves upon whites or force ourselves into the white society or blame the white man for our predicament and constantly beg him for what he has, he says that the only way that we can solve our problem is to unite together among ourselves, among our own kind, clean ourselves up, rid ourselves of the evils that we've become addicted to here in this society, and try and solve our problem ourselves.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You'll excuse the fact that I'm out of breath, but about 10 or 15 minutes ago, a tragic thing, from all indications at this point, has happened in the city of Dallas. Let me quote to you this. And you'll excuse me if I am out of breath. A bulletin, this is from the United Press, from Dallas. President Kennedy and Governor John Connally have been cut down by assassins' bullets in downtown Dallas. They were riding in an open automobile when the shots were fired. The president, his limp body carried in the arms of his wife, Jacqueline, has rushed to Parkland Hospital.
And there you have it. You have JFK assassinated in Dallas. And that was pretty much the result of, like, internal fighting within the government. Good documentary to watch on that is called A Rich Man's Trick. It explains it all. But this would be eventually the guy to take over, Lyndon B. Johnson. According to my knowledge or my research regarding Martin Luther King and his civil rights movement, he was reassured that that bill would still be passed. But y'all check this out.
We knew that President Kennedy initially was involved in that as part of him becoming president. But by the time of the march, people were feeling antsy. It hadn't happened. After the march, we were ready.
But really, it's all of us who must overcome the crippling legacy of bigotry and injustice. And we shall overcome.
Hello?
Doctor?
Yes, Mr. President.
Well, I just wanted to tell you that how mighty proud I was of a lot of folks last Tuesday, and Hubert Humphrey left here about 30 minutes ago, and I still hadn't shaved. I got off my bathrobe. I was up all night the night before, and I thought I'd call half a dozen or so folks and tell them how much I appreciated their confidence and what a good job I thought they'd done, and how they justified their faith, and how many more now we've got to help get out of their bondage.
Yes, well, we are certainly all very happy about the outcome. It was just such a great victory, and I certainly appreciate your calling. We have some bright days ahead, I think.
I urge every American to join in this effort to bring justice and hope to all our people and to bring peace to our land.
There's warm applause from members of both parties as the president sets to work. It is work. He uses nearly 100 pens to affix his signature and date. Souvenirs go to Republican leader Everett Dirksen and Democratic whip Hubert Humphrey. The president seems to have mastered the art of just touching each pen to the paper. Integration leader Martin Luther King receives his pen, a gift he said he would cherish. The Department of Justice will enforce the law.
Well, about the other part of it, there's no justice here for us black people. There's no future for us nor our children in civilized America. And I didn't make that up. He said it in his own
And he's correct in what he says, sir.
Well, what does it mean? Does it mean you're going to get out, or
it
what?
It means the same thing that Attorney General Robert Kennedy means when he says that the #1 domestic problem in America is the race problem. That it is almost impossible to solve it. It's almost impossible to give justice to Negroes.
I don't in any way encourage black people to go out and initiate acts of aggression indiscriminately against whites. But I do believe that the black man in the United States and any human being, anywhere, is well within his right to do whatever is necessary, by any means necessary, to protect his life and property, especially in a country where the federal government itself has proven that it is either unable or unwilling to protect the lives and property of those human beings.
Salam alaikum. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Hold it.
And here is when you have Malcolm X, the king, being assassinated on the 21st of February, 1965. Again, he still had his questions regarding the Civil Rights Act and it being passed. He even wondered if they even was gonna ever act on the actual bill. He never trusted it, in other words. And he thought, quite frankly, that Martin Luther King was a pawn being used in that. Now, I don't know if they talked behind the scenes or whatnot, but I mean, both of them had the right intentions. He just went about it in a brash way.
Well, I think the biggest problem now is that we got our gains over the last 12 years at bargain rates, so to speak. Didn't cost the nation anything. In fact, it helped the economic side of the nation to integrate lunch counters and public accommodations. It didn't cost the nation anything to get the right to vote established. And now we are confronting issues that cannot be solved without costing the nation billions of dollars. Now, I think this is where we're getting our greatest resistance. They may put it on many other things, but we can't get rid of slums and poverty without it costing the nation something.
Nah, here it is. King was right, but this was years after the march and, him getting a pen from Lyndon B. Johnson regarding his roles in getting the Civil Rights Act passed in '64. Even then, he noticed, like, look, bruh, like, that's cool. We can vote now and we can go eat in the white restaurants now. I mean, truth be told, they probably wanted to eat more so in our restaurants than the latter. You know what I'm saying? But whatever, you know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying in the sense is like, yo, we still got people living in the slums. We still got people not having money. Like, it's still a lot of problems. Like, yeah, that's cool, we can vote, but, what is that? What is our vote really doing, in other words?
Good evening. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, 39 years old and a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and the leader of the nonviolent civil rights movement in the United States, was assassinated in Memphis tonight. A sniper's bullet cut down Dr. King as he stood on a hotel balcony in Memphis. Within an hour, Dr. King was dead. That happened at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The nation was shocked. President Johnson expressed horror and then postponed his trip to Hawaii until tomorrow.
I just find it ironic that MLK died with leading a movement that called for nonviolence, but he died by violence. I mean, that's just the type of games they play with us, especially with our leaders. But, first off, RIP to MLK, man. You know what I'm saying? But, what I want to say is like, you kind of played yourself, my G. And the reason why I say that is because you're going hard for, like, stuff that really don't matter. To vote and you know what I'm saying? Like, to vote in a government that's evil. I mean, it don't really matter. It's better off to do your own shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think even he realized this. Y'all check this out.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now, I'm not one to lose hope. I keep on hoping. I still have faith in the future. But I've had to analyze many things over the last few years, and I would say over the last few months. I've gone through a lot of soul-searching and agonizing moments. And I've come to see that we have many more difficult days ahead, and some of the old optimism was a little superficial, and now it must be tempered with a solid realism. And I think the realistic fact is that we still have a long, long way to go.
Black man in America is beyond America's ability to solve. It's a human problem, not an American problem or a Negro problem. And as a human problem or a world problem, we feel that it should be taken out of the jurisdiction of the United States government and the United States courts and taken into the United Nations in the same manner that the problems of the black man in South Africa, Angola, and other parts of the world, and even the way they're trying to bring the problems of the Jews in Russia into the United Nations because of violation of human rights. We believe that our problem is one not of violation of civil rights, but a violation of human rights. Not only are we denied the right to be a citizen in the United States, we're denied the right to be a human being.
And there you have it, man. R.I.P. to these kings, man. Malcolm X, MLK. They were young men fighting for, you know, rights. You know, and that hasn't changed even now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had to be on the same vibration that they was on, you know. But the good thing in this is that we have the eyes of history on our side. Like, we can see what they've done, and we can manipulate it to work in our aspect. But these little acts, though, nah, that's not gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more so on the side of, you know, vowing land, assets. We need that. You know what I'm saying? All these little, you know, trick bag voter acts and civil rights acts and all of that. Like, look, you know, y'all can treat me however y'all want to treat me. You know what I'm saying? But give me something tangible. Like, I'm on that aspect, that side of the game. You know what I'm saying? And, I mean, honestly, I mean, do you think that you would be able to ask Joe Biden for anything right now, bro? Like, keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? Dude is a straight clown. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, all we can do is, you know what I'm saying, keep pushing forward. This is still a problem that we have in this country, but you know, we gotta continue to push forward, and we gotta be able to set trends that can last for the 100 years that they've done evil. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to set the trend to go the other way, the pendulum to go the other way. You know, but y'all like, share, subscribe. This was part 2 of our Cast Your Vote series, Uncivil Movements. And y'all be on the lookout for part 3, man. Like, share, subscribe, BAM TV. Love y'all, man. Peace out, man. One.